Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review of the brand new and extremely unique Nike FlyLite Shin Guards. These shin guards have a retail price of $50 US, and for your $50 you get a pair of shin guards as well as a pair of compression sleeves. So while they aren't the cheapest shin guards around, they certainly aren't the most expensive ones either, although I would consider them to be on the higher end side as far as prices are concerned. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know in regards to the performance, such as the fit, the weight of the shin guard, as well as, most importantly, the protective qualities that it has to offer, ultimately coming to the conclusion as to where these stand in the very competitive high-end shin guard market. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the shin guards themselves. Now, what's unique about the Nike Mercurial FlyLite guards is that they don't feature your standard shin guard construction. Yes, there's a plastic shell on the outside, but you can see the backing does not feature any foam whatsoever, which is kind of the standard. Just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about, here is a pair of Nike Mercurial Lights. This is the $25-$30 variation in Nike shin guard lineup. It features a hard plastic shell and a fairly thick foam backing, and that's really how we've come to expect shin guards to be constructed. Of course, the material on the front can be swapped out for carbon fiber, for example, but again, a hard shell and a foam backing is pretty much what we've come to expect from a pair of shin guards. Now with the FlyLite, they've developed it using 3D printing technology. So a misconception that I'm seeing a lot on the internet is that people are under the assumption that these are 3D printed. No, they use 3D printed to actually come up with this design. So through 3D printing, they were able to print thousands and thousands of different designs, and through testing those designs that they made by basically just quickly manufacturing the shin guard on the spot, they were able to come up with what they claim to be is the best, safest design, as well as the lightest design possible for this style of a shin guard. Now it is a smaller shaped shin guard, and they are anatomically shaped as well for the right and left leg. The shell on the outside is a clear plastic, and the plastic itself, what really surprised me about this shin guard in person, it's very, very soft and flexible. It actually doesn't have much stiffness to it whatsoever. You can see if I hold it like this, I can basically put it flat and bend it backwards, which may seem kind of unsafe, but you'll also notice that you do have the NOC-SAE standard kind of stamping on there. And for those that don't know what that stands for the National Operating Committee on Standards for Athletic Equipment, which essentially means that Nike, for example, would submit this shin guard to them. They run their various testing methods on it and basically come to the conclusion as to whether or not this meets their safety standards, and this has. So if you were a little bit worried about this, don't be, and I'm going to explain why in just a second. Now the backing material here is really what makes this shin guard unique. Now, normally, like I mentioned, you would have a foam or some kind of a solid material as a lining to help absorb some of that impact. But instead of using a foam that can eventually compress basically to the point where it doesn't have that absorption of the impact anymore, they've used these little kind of, I guess the best way to describe them are these little kind of hollowed out points that stick out. So you can see that they have some decent length to them right there. And the liner is not attached to the back of the shin guard. It's kind of like a webbing on the back. So there's no extra material here, which is great because it saves a lot of weight, and it's also not going to absorb any water, and it's also going to allow for some pretty good breathability because you're only having these little black points kind of coming in contact with your leg, where everything around is kind of going to allow itself to breathe. And again, it's just a really unique design in that particular regard. But what's great about this, and what's unique about this in terms of protection, is that when you actually apply pressure to the top of the shin guard, so let's say you get kicked, these little points are actually going to press against the back of the shell, and they're going to compress. So they're going to absorb that impact. It's a softer rubber material, so you can see that when I apply pressure in certain points, it actually compresses and it absorbs that impact, as opposed to the impact being a little bit more harsh. And that's really what I noticed from testing these. Obviously I have worn them just playing soccer, and I also had some people just kind of kick me in the leg while wearing the shin guard, with both this shin guard on one leg and a standard high-end pair of shin guards on the other. And while I don't want to say these felt safer than the other ones, what I will say is that they seem to do a better job of absorbing kind of the lower impacts that you would normally come across when playing in a soccer game. So should you take a really hard tackle, just like any pair of shin guards, you're going to feel it, it's going to hurt. But on more normal types of situations where maybe you're just taking a little kick to the shin or something like that, I found that this system really does absorb the impact pretty effectively, and it's a very, very impressive design because of it. Do I think it's the safest thing out there? Honestly, no, but I have to say I was much more impressed than I thought I was going to be after just holding the shin guard in my hand, because in hand, honestly, these shin guards feel very, very flimsy. But that's pretty much it as far as the shin guard is concerned. Again, it's a very, very impressive product. And next, we're going to take a look at the weight of the shin guard, because there is no lining material. How much lighter are these shin guards in comparison to a more standard design? In terms of weight, the Nike FlyLite shin guards are extremely light. So I'm going to weigh this one for you today in real time. Keep in mind this one is a size large. We'll throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at a very impressive 1.65 ounces. So they are well above average in terms of being very, very light. We'll take that off the scale, and for comparison's sake, I thought I'd grab the standard Mercurial Lite, which again features a standard plastic shell and a more standard foam backing, again a size large. We'll throw that on the scale, and you can see that these weigh in at 2.3 ounces, and this is a $25 shin guard or so, so half the price of the FlyLite. We'll take that off the scale, and we'll compare it to the C6 Agility carbon fiber shin guard. This is honestly what I consider to be the best of the best as far as shin guards out there right now. This is the speed variation, which is going to be a little bit smaller, very comparable in size to the FlyLite, as you guys can see. And this is also a size large, but keep in mind this has a retail price of $150, so it is triple the price of the Nike FlyLite. We'll throw it on the scale, and you can see that these are the lightest of the bunch at 1.4 ounces, 0.2 ounces lighter than the Nike FlyLite. It's not a significant amount of weight. It's not even an amount of weight you're going to notice on your legs. And if I'm completely honest with you guys, you're not going to notice much of a weight difference between all three of these shin guards. So yes, they're nice and light, but nothing overwhelming, nothing that has never been done before. So please keep that in mind. The sleeves included with the Nike FlyLite shin guards are nothing special and are pretty much the same thing that you would get with any of the strapless shin guard options on offer from Nike. They're made from a very thin, stretchy mesh material. You can see they do have some ventilation about them because it is an open mesh. And as far as compression is concerned, they do a pretty good job of holding the shin guard tight against your leg without needing tape. With that being said, I still do prefer using tape to hold up my shin guards. I find it to be by far the most effective. But like I said, these will get the job done for a certain amount of time, and the only reason I say that is because my past experiences with Nike shin guard sleeves is that they tend to not be the most durable because it is such a thin material. So again, they'll get the job done for the first month or two, but after that they probably will stretch out, if not break, and then you're just going to have to replace them or just use tape, which, like I said, tends to be the most effective for this style of shin guard. Alright, here's a look at the fit of the Nike FlyLite shin guards, and as you can see, they don't look abnormal in comparison to Nike's other Mercurial shin guard models. It's got that same shape. They are a smaller size. I'm about 5'11", and the pair that I'm wearing are a size large, and you can see that they are relatively small. They're meant to sit a little bit higher up the leg, so no ankle protection or anything like that. And in terms of the thickness, you can see they do have a decent thickness to them. They are relatively thin, but certainly not the thinnest shin guard around. But again, it's really how they fit that to me is the major highlight of this design. The flexible shell may seem a little bit odd at first, but it really does a good job of forming to the exact shape of your shin. So if you have a hard time fitting into shin guards where they just don't match the shape of your leg properly, something like the Nike FlyLite is definitely something to consider. You can see the sleeves hold them up pretty well just when standing here. Again, tape is recommended if you are going to be running around a lot, which is generally the norm if you're playing soccer. And again, really no complaints here. One thing that again is a little bit unusual and I think is going to throw a lot of people off when they see these in person is that the shell is very flexible. You can see even when I just push on the front, I can actually push it in. You don't actually feel much pressure, but it does a good job of actually absorbing that impact. So again, if protection is something you're worried about, don't be, because it actually is pretty safe and pretty protective in comparison to a more standard design shin guard. So that's pretty much it as far as what they look like on your legs. Great comfort, nice and lightweight, great fit, And again, the sizing is something that you kind of have to figure out for yourself. Size large, I think, is going to be suitable for most people. Again, I'm 5'11", and the pair that I'm wearing is a size large. So unless you want something really, really small, the large is going to be suitable for most heights, at least if you're above 5 feet. So that's pretty much it, guys, and I'll leave you to my final thoughts. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the Nike FlyLite Shin Guards. I think the word revolutionary is one that's going to be thrown around a lot. And yes, I think this is a revolutionary design. Do I think it's revolutionary in terms of the amount of protection that it provides though? The answer to the question is no. I just don't think it is. It's very cool, and I applaud Nike for coming up with a shin guard concept and design that is so drastically different from anything else we've ever seen, and it actually does work. It fits well, it's comfortable, it has a breathability that you just can't get from any other shin guard out there on the market, and the protective qualities are definitely there, and it also maintains a nice lightweight feel on your legs. But as far as calling this the most protective shin guard out there, or really game-changing as far as the amount of protection that it has to offer, again, I just can't say that 100% at all. This is a great shin guard if you're looking to spend a little bit more money for a premium product that's nice and lightweight, a smaller style shin guard that's going to provide adequate protection for most people. Do I think that this is the safest shin guard in this particular form factor? No. I still think the C6 Agility would be a better option as far as protection is concerned. But again, if you're buying a smaller style shin guard, protection most likely isn't your main concern. But should you get hit in the shins wearing the Nike FlyLite, they should get the job done as far as keeping you safe out there on the field. And that's really my conclusion on this particular product. It's good, but certainly nothing overwhelmingly special like Nike is trying to lead you to believe. So again, definitely a good value overall if you can justify $50 for a pair of plastic shin guards. Other than that though, guys, that's it for my review. If you have any questions at all, be sure to leave them down below in the comments section. I definitely will get an answer out to you. And if there are any other shin guard products you'd like to see reviewed on the channel, be sure to leave those suggestions down below in the comments section as well. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. That would be greatly appreciated. If you guys are interested in one of these for yourself, or a pair of these for yourself I should say, there will be a link down below in the description to the review page on our website where you'll find some detailed images that I took myself that'll give you a better idea as to how these actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes allowing you to pick these up below their $50 retail price. So be sure to go ahead and check that out if you're interested in some of these for yourself. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description, and also leave several annotations on screen to other shin guard review videos that I have on my YouTube channel, so you can go ahead and check those out if you want to get a better idea of what else is out there as far as shin guards are concerned. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.